Done? Okay. Next question. हालांकि ये उससे नहीं होगा. दिस क्वेश्चन यू लीव फॉर द टाइम बीइंग, लेटर ऑन विल कम टू दिस क्वेश्चन. तो क्या हो जाएगा, ए एंड बी डिसाइड टू ट्रैवल फ्रॉम प्लेस एक्स टू द प्लेस वाई बाय बस. ठीक है. A has ₹10 with him, which and he finds that it is 80% of the bus for the 2 person, है ना. तो 80% meaning is what? That is 80% meaning is 4/5. Clear? 80% meaning is what? 4/5. This is already we have done. So 4/5 is equivalent to 10. 4/5 equivalent, very good, is given 10. The total amount required is how much? 12.5.
Hello.
Decide to travel from
Live करो. Hello. Hello. आ तो री चालू करो. Hello. बंद करो. चलो. सर की क्लास रुकवा दो. हाँ तो नीचे जाकर बंद करोगे. सर की क्लास में करो, सिस्टम बंद को करो.
उससे दिक्कत है.
हाँ मिस मैच हो रही है. नीचे वाली बंद करो एक बार.
क्लास रोक देता हूँ तो
बंद कर दो. सर को मना कर दो. सब बाद में कर ले लेंगे. हेलो. Just 2 minutes, ma'am. हेलो 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 एक मिनट बाद स्टार्ट कीजिएगा।
हाँ। Hello everyone. So welcome to SRIRAM's IAS. Actually the voice was not heard in the previous, so that's why I'll be starting from the beginning itself. We have given a topic as values in public service, right? So in this, like how to connect this topic with your 3rd, 6th and 7th unit, and then we will just enter into what we have to discuss today. See this, everything starts from this, the values in governance, and to say like I cannot do everything in this, but I'll carry forward to the next slide. So first we have to know what is governance. Governance means the way we are governing the people. So it starts from everything, the law making, the formation of policies, schemes, implementing it. Okay, so in the broader sense it includes everything, the law making to the implementation, the delivery of services to the people. But in the individual sense, if you are always talking about governance, it is mentioning about the service delivery, especially the quality service delivery to the people, okay, to the people. So this is something called as governance. And if you see in this governance, in the same diagram, see this, I can also bring this, this diagram inside for you. So we all know that the policy makers, okay, so who are here, who make the policies, the schemes, rules, regulations for the country, and here are the people, okay, the normal common man who is going to get utilized from the schemes, from the policies, and who has to be regulated. In between these two, that acts like a connecting pin. Here comes this public servants, okay. Especially if you are meant to mention public servants, we can just say as civil servants itself, okay, civil servants, and the organization is called as civil service, okay. So they are acting as a connecting pin between the policy makers as well as the people who are going to get benefit from the government. So if this is the case in the values and governance, you can see that how we are going to take this forward. The broader sense I said, that means both are included in it, the law making as well as the schemes, formulation of schemes as well as implementation. But in individual sense, it is a delivery of services only. So in this case, in the values and governance, I can begin with how. Or just we can say why we need values, okay. So I can say this is Q, you can write like this. Then how values entered into civil service, case A, okay, and what are those values which has to be considered, not only in civil service, entirely in the governance, okay. So in that case I can say kya, what are those values which has entered. So, if you see in this angle, in this order, unit 3 and unit 6, you will be connecting in this place. Okay, we will bring unit 3 and unit 6. In this direction, you know, here I do not have enough space, so I will take the next slide for you. You can see this. So, this is a box which we have given already, that is values in governance. Okay. In this, if, that is agar, I can call like that, that means if I am following the values, if the public servants are following the values, then what will happen? What will happen? There will be quality service delivery. Okay. There will be less corruption. Okay. There will be proper utilization of public funds. Like this we can keep on add more and more. In the classes we will be doing one by one. And if not, this is for if. Okay. So, if not, agar nahi, that means if you are not following it. Okay. Then what will be the case? If not, there will be rise in corruption, maladministration, politicization of bureaucracy. Like this we can add on. So, you can say all that you know, ill effects can be addressed here. So, politicization of bureaucracy or criminalization of politics, like this we can add. So, it goes on, you know. So, here we are not going to take this part today, but this should be there before we begin this topic. And Konsa, that means like what will be the tools, you know, like what will be the tools to check this values, like RTI, accountability, okay, citizen charter, write this, code of conduct, like this it goes on. Okay, so now you compare all the things into a single diagram and you will get the answer. So here all those topics which you will be covering in your unit 7, you will see here the challenges as well as, you know, all those results due to following of values in governance. And here you will find both unit 6 as well as 7 here, like RTA, accountability mechanisms, code of conduct, citizen charter. So, I hope now you understand that values in governance means especially it will include the policy makers as well as the policy implementers. The policy implementers are none but the civil servants, and civil service is the organization which is doing it. And if that is the case, especially this exam is for the civil service, that is why in your question paper you often get, you know, how why ethics is important for a public servant, or what is the values, what importance the values is for the civil servants or in the public administration. Okay, so that way you will get a question. And you come to the previous part which we are going to enter today. See this, that why you need values in public service and how this values came into public service or civil service especially, and what are those values. So, especially if you are studying this part, when we are considering this part, we will not completely taking entire governance, but a part of that governance, especially the public service or the civil service, and we will be studying these things. That is there in your unit 3. What are the values a civil servant should follow, and unit 6 also. Okay, now we will start from here. We will begin from here. You will be having a lot of doubts. Yes. See that why you need values, will begin from that. Okay, see that how we will take this forward, right. For this also we will begin with a diagram and then we will connect this concept, right. As I have already drawn this for you, civil servants are the one who is like acting as a connecting pin between the policy makers who are in the top. Okay, they are doing armchair policy making, and the people who are here in the below, you know, the society, we can say generally, but when we are considering, you know, and the good governance or governance activity, we always mention this is a civil society organization. Okay. So, how their role get changed over the period, and how the role of administrators got changed, and how the role of policy makers got changed. Okay. So, first we have to know that, then only we will understand why you need you know, the values in civil service. Okay. Servants, you can write a civil service also, you can mention CS I am mentioning. So, for this is the core idea which you have to know. Come to this particular you know, angle, come to this diagram, we will explain why you need values, right? Values क्यों चाहिए administrator के लिए, why he need. So, that means I can say that this is before independence. Okay, this is before independence. Also we had Indian civil service, it is not Indian administrative service, Indian civil service. So, this is before independence. If you take the main duty of the government, why we are always considering the duty of government, role of government with the role of you know, civil servants, because the role of government is a reflection in the part of civil servants. That means civil servants are acting as the face of government. Okay. So, that means before independence, the main duty of the government is to maintain law and order and revenue collection. Okay. So, this is the face of the civil servant also. The civil servant, who is the agent of the government, also perform this role. Okay. Then after independence, so this goes like this, you know, we need a lot of space. So, I will just consume less space for this. See this, and after independence, the role got enlarged, the government's role got enlarged. How it got enlarged? Anna? So, that means apart from doing this traditional work, law and order, revenue collection, the government started thinking about welfare of people, welfare providing state. So, here the main duty of government is acting as provider. Okay. Here only regulator, that is managing the law and order. So, law and order is the main duty, but here there is a provider. Okay. So, after after independence, and when LPG era started happening, so this is after LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization, the role and responsibilities of the government started increasing. How the roles and responsibilities started increasing? Same activities only they started doing, but here instead of being a provider, you know, same law and order, revenue collection, welfare providing, like social development, economic advancements, okay, and urbanization, sab kuch, all they were doing all. So, if everything is done by the government alone, there came a question. So, there should be a space for private players. When a different organization entered into governance structure, then government should perform the role other than providing the services. So, they became regulator. Apart from being a provider, they also took the role of regulator. Okay. So, this was the case of a civil servant. Civil servant also should travel along with the government. Okay. So, what the government is trying to you know, implement, they will ask the civil servant to do it. So, his roles and responsibility also got enlarged like this, roles and responsibilities started increasing. Okay. So, even after this, after LPG, you know, in the 21st century, now we are talking about, we are moving from slowly from governance, we are moving from governance, okay, to good governance. Anna, so let me write it fully, otherwise you will not be able to understand. So, we are moving to good governance, okay, and then we are moving to ethical governance now. We are moving from good governance to ethical governance. This is in your ethics paper, you are having a topic, a separate topic is there for you, okay. So, this ethical governance, we call this as GG and we call this as EG. So, now apart from being a provider, apart from being a regulator, so here along with government, private players came into the picture. But here along with government, private players, okay, plus private players, civil society organization, that is people, they themselves should involve in the governance activity. People started entering into governance. So now apart from being a provider, regulator, they also acted as a mediator, okay, facilitator, all these are the roles that got enlarged. So provider was also that they are also providing certain services, they are also regulating, okay, the private players and individuals, they are also acting as a mediator and they are also acting as a facilitator. The role got enlarged, so the responsibilities, role got enlarged, so the responsibilities. Same way, the roles and responsibilities of the administrators, that is a civil servant, also got enlarged. Now you can see this is a civil servant who is connecting the policy makers, that is the government which is making the policy, and the society which is getting benefit from the government, and he is the one who is connecting both. Okay? If that is the case, previously his one and only duty, his one and only role is to provide services to the people, to the public, along with law and order, taking money, revenue collecting, welfare providing. But now apart from that, he also should act along with private players, he should also involve people into the administration, that is into the governance activity. If that is the case, then he has to interact with the people a lot. And even for law and order and for revenue collection, there arose the necessity for values. Okay, there came values. There came something called as values. So I can say administrators, that is the civil servants, are the one who are converting the government programs into policies, policies into projects, projects into smaller tasks, and they are responsible for successful governance in a country. So without them, there is no good governance at all. And then why we need this value? Why are we continuously insisting a civil servant should have values, or why are we calling values in public service? That is the first thing which we have to see. So as I said, we are beginning with why. Why we need values in public service? If that is the case, as I said, civil servants who is the face of the government, who is interacting with the people and with the government, both the side. What are the problems we are facing with respect to civil service? See, some problems I like to mention, many are there, many, but here we will take a few. First, I can say unresponsive. Civil servants are unresponsive in nature, okay, not acting in, are not considering, so like I can say that not considering public demands, okay, public demands. Or I can also say the second problem is that they are highly regulated, okay, lot of rules, regulations, code of conduct, everything for a civil servant. Even in 2022, that was a question for you. Rules and regulations are same for everyone. For every civil servant, the rules and regulations are same. But few are able to, positively predict it, the rules and regulations, and implement the schemes or policies in a successful manner. But few are not able to do it. Why? Again, if you see, go back to your attitude unit. I already told interconnectivity between topics and units is important in your ethics. So connecting your positive attitude and civil service. So both values in civil service, all this will be connected here. From here and there, you have to take some keywords and then you have to write this answer. In 2022, this is the question which has come. So you have to be very careful while reading the topic. even I can connect in the first topic which I have started, there itself I can connect the previous 3 unit, attitude, emotional intelligence and all, I can do it, but it will be a lot of confusion now, because since we are seeing the last chapters, that is administration related unit. So, highly regulated and hence they are indifferent to people's needs, are indifferent to people's or public needs, I can say public needs. Okay. Third important issue which we can see the problem is diffusion of responsibility. Diffusion of responsibility is the third problem which we are noticing. So, what it is, that means what? See that that is negative responsibility or lacking of positive responsibility. That means because of inaction or wrong action, there are 2 things, no, one, they are not doing anything or they are not doing in the right direction, they are passing the bug, so passing bug from one to another. I am not responsible, you are responsible, this is the fault of you, this is the fault of you. So, this way you are trying to pass the buck to everyone, that is called as diffusion of responsibility. Fourth is excessive, I can say red tapeism, excessive red tapeism. See, if time permits, I will also say how this values entered and what are the values which we are considering now, that I will take. If not, I will just first do why we need these values, red tapeism. As you can see, our excessive, we can mention this as excessive formalism also. Any way you can write excessive formalism. Okay. So, if that is the case, as you can see, delay, unnecessary delays when you go to a government office. Either they will say, nahi to you go to some other department, so that department is responsible. Oh, unke liye job hai, mere paas nahi aayi hai. First go there, complete it, come to me, so return back. So, then they will direct to some other. So, you will begin this work and it will take 3 years at least for you to complete the work. So, that may excessive red tapeism and excessive formalism because of insensitivity. Then even I can add, we will do in some other color, otherwise we will get confused. So, see this, even you can mention that rigid conformity, that is always conforming with rules and regulations which they have in the form of code of conduct, so where all India service conduct rules, civil service conduct rules, a civil servant should behave in this manner only, should behave in this angle only. So, this way we have lot of rules and regulation. So, conforming yourselves to that and again and you in the meantime you are not able to focus on your actual job. Your actual job is to act in public interest and to deliver quality services to them, but you are lacking that because of rigid conformity or sticking within I can say the sphere of safety, inside that orbit of safety or sphere of safety, you are just sitting inside that and you are not ready to come out. Okay. So, even we can mention this as lack of dynamism, no creativity at all. So, that is what Mission Karma Yogi was also mentioning. Very recently the government, not recently, 3 years back, 4 years back, around 2018, Mission Karma Yogi was introduced. I hope you would have read somewhere or heard somewhere. This is especially for the civil servant. And when this mission was introduced, they asked some question related to creative and all. Lot of questions every year is appearing based on this. Apart from being, that the civil servants following integrity principle, impartiality principles, all this empathy, compassion, they should also be creative. So, one time question was like that in your paper. So, creativity is important. So, we are saying lack of dynamism, dynamic thinking is lagging because of this. 7, I can also say, the main problem is that, unnecessary, we can mention that, okay, the very important one we will do it. Lack of accountability, that is less accountability also you can write, okay, lack of accountability, and pseudo authority, that is a problem especially with civil servants. So they are not having, they are not answerable, not answering properly, or either way I can say they are taking more authority, consuming more power for them, and because of that they are saying I am not answerable for this. See, I am having 2 districts under my control, I am having enormous work to be done, and how can I answer you? So this way this questions comes, and then even you can mention about the illegal or maladministration, illegal activities like corruption, they are involving in corruption, or you can also say maladministration, misadministration, everything will be coming under this. So like I can say corruption activities goes on, we can keep on adding. Then politicization of bureaucracy is another thing which we can say. So inaction, all these are not appreciable in case of civil servants. Even concentrating in trivial matters. So these are some of the challenges we are facing in this public service, and because of this we need values. So it is a time, what we are saying, that we have to reinvent civil service. Reinvent civil service based on our the values, are giving much importance, focus on, or accent on, anyway you can mention, accent on the so called values. Okay, so here comes the values. We are saying give more importance to values, because civil servants are the one who are delivering the civil services, are doing the public services to the people, and when they are doing it, we require something in the form of values which should be always with them. That is why in your 3rd unit you can see a topic, foundational values for civil service, that is a topic. Okay, and especially in your 6th unit also, or 7th unit also, you are coming across certain thing like transparency, accountability mechanisms. Okay, in 6th and 7th unit we will be seeing all these things. All these are some of the values which is required in the civil services, delivering the public services to the public. So we have seen why we need values. I hope it would be clear for you. So this is like a synopsis I am doing it, and we will be connecting each and every topic in your syllabus inside like this map only, okay, the last 3 unit map. Now we are moving to how this kaise aate hai values, civil service se kaise aate hai, how it has come inside, and क्या values चाहिए civil servants के लिए, So that means how and what, that will be the question which we are going to see. So in this case I have to take the help of administration a bit, and if you are already knowing an administration or public administration, you would definitely come across this topic also, title there, that in most the cases, see, and especially when we are talking about this how, there is a topic for you in the 6th unit. Okay, so when I am taking the 6th, I will connect the 3rd, that way only I used to take 3rd and then I will go to 6th, and when taking 6th I will start the 6th then 3rd. That is why I have taken this topic also in the similar fashion. So if you see how means there is a topic called status in your 6th unit, public or civil service values in public administration, that is your 6th unit, there you have a topic called status of values inside public administration, that also can be covered. When I am discussing this, that topic also can be covered in this, how you will be, how this values entered into administration or civil service. In that case, I can say, see, we will discuss 5 phases the administration saw, 5 phases, it has crossed 5 phases. So for phase 1, I can call that as phase 1, and the phase 1, it is a period from 1887 to 1926, this yes, 19, sorry, 1927. Okay, so this is the phase. 1926 you can mention. And in this phase, if you see, during this period, there was a large argument that politics, that is government, especially government means they are mentioning about the law making for part of the government. Okay, so the policy makers, they were saying the policy makers cannot be one with the policy implementers. Administrators' work is to implement the programs, the schemes, the policies which is made by the government. So here there was a great fight, and they were saying the politics and administration are totally different. Okay, politics versus administration, the issue was going like that. And this is a period that Woodrow Wilson is a person who is called the father of administration, public administration. So he wrote a paper titled The Study of Administration. In that he asked some questions. How can the policy makers be one with administrator? Policy makers requires values because they are making policies for the people, but administration, naito, he don't worry, he need not worry about value. One and only thing he has to consider is efficiency, how to improve efficiency. So here they were always questioning that this two has to be separated and there is no room for values. Okay, I'll keep it short. In the classes we will be seeing it as elaborately, we will see this, but not here. I will keep how it has entered, no, for that I am giving this diagram. So there was no room for values because administration is always treated as business here, okay, public administration, that is civil service again. So the public administration, you have to be very clear in that, is treated as business and is treated as, so business means what? So business means, what is the main duty of business? That is profit making. No, the profit, it will always focus on profit. Now the perspective has changed. There is something called corporate governance also, but previously the one and only aim is to increase the profit. So they said same only, even though it is a public administration, here also the main duty of the one who is implementing these schemes and programs for the government, their aim is to increase the profit. Thus, so again the public administration is treated as science. Okay, so that means to improve the profit, that is to increase the efficiency of the administration. This is the one and only principle or value they were focusing, to increase efficiency. Okay, so to increase efficiency, they were trying to find out certain principles, and that principles, when we are applying it in the administration, it will increase the efficiency of the administration. This is the only angle they were discussing during that period. And then came phase 2. If you see the phase 2, this is something from 1927 we can see to 1937. So this period, they started inventing that principles. We discussed here the principles, science like principles. They started inventing it. So here also they were seeing the principles, like when you study administration, you will know that principles like scalar chain, that's something hierarchy principle, division of work, unity of command. Like this you will be studying lot of terminologies there. Okay, so that type of principles, they started inventing principles which has universal relevancy and universal validity. So administration, wherever it can be a private administration, that is for a business, or a public administration, that is for a government, they don't care about it. Completely they forget the word public in the public administration during this phase. Okay, so the public was completely forgotten and they were only focusing on increasing the efficiency here. This way there was no values, no other values which was considered during this phase also. So less values are given less importance, even the values are not even discussed during this phases. Then came phase 3. If you see that when you are following me, the phase 3, which is from 1938, if you see, to 1947. In this period, slowly people started questioning. See that administration is like an organization. Anna, if that's an organization, there should be something in the form of human relations. Humans should be considered. An informal group should be considered here. Anna, so human relations, behavioral approach, like this they were, all this has been introduced inside administration. Okay. So when this has been introduced, they were started questioning about the previous two phases where administration and politics should be separated. That was questioned. And second thing, the principles, they were discovering certain principles no, to increase efficiency only. That was also questioned, because they said administration cannot be separated from politics, because politics, that is here, the government which is making the policy, Anna, it cannot interact with the people. So who is the one who is interacting with the people in the case of public administration? The administrators who are in the middle. Okay, so they are interacting with the people, they are implementing the programs, they are implementing the schemes, and the feedback is sent to the policy makers to improve the programs. So when they interact with the people, people's introduction is inside that, and even the bureaucrats, the administrators, they themselves are people, they are humans. So we cannot simply always have a mechanistic approach. Previous two phases is talking about mechanistic approach, but now we are moving from mechanistic approach to the human relations approach or the behavioral approach in this phase. Here only we were thinking, not introduced, thinking about values inside public service. So about values, we are thinking about the values. Then came phase 4. If you take this phase 4, in the phase 4, these other two phases are very, very important. Here only I am also going to say what are those values also will be introduced during these two phases. In the phase 4, where there is an identity crisis which was happening, okay, identity crisis for the administration itself. It was during the period that 1948 to 1970, in this period, a very important event took place in the case of civil service, that is the first Minobrook conference, because administration was not accepted inside political science and not inside management. It is not a business. Administration, public administration is not a business, and public administration is not completely law making. So this was a question, and then at that time the first Minobrook conference took place in 1968 under the leadership of Dwight Waldo. Dwight Waldo is the one who has headed this conference. There they decided that administration should be a separate discipline. Okay, civil service, that is here we are mentioning this as civil service, should be a separate discipline. So how it is acting as a separate discipline, and there they talked about new public administration. We will move to new public administration, we will consider new administration which is, okay, a value laden administration. Note this students, value laden. Here they introduced values first time inside administration. So inside civil service in India, like now we are calling that civil service and civil administration, public administration again. So value laden administration. So they were first time proposing a value called social equity. Openly they came out with a value called social equity, and they were calling administration also should possess values inside them. Okay. Then came the next important phase for you. From here only your third unit topics and all has been chosen. That is phase 5. Even in this phases there were a lot of approaches. Here I am not ready to dump you with those things. The new public management, apart from first Minobrook conference, public choice approach, like that there were a lot of concepts. So that in the administration you will be studying. So then came phase 5. The phase 5 is something the last phase and till continuing, This is the policy, public policy, okay, perspective. That means they said polity and administration cannot be separated from one another. Both has to cooperate with each other in law making and law implementation. The top, that is the one who is sitting there and making the policy, requires the help of administrator to make the policy, and even administrators, one who is implementing it, requires the help of the one who is making the policy who is there. They have to collaborate and cooperate in doing it. Then only we will get a proper governance in the name of good governance. Okay. So, the public policy perspective, which was from 1971 till date, we are in this phase only. Here lot of important events took place. The first important event which I like to mention is the second Minnowbrook conference, like how first Minnowbrook conference took place, second also conducted. 20 years once they will do it. We are waiting for the fourth Minnowbrook conference. The second Minnowbrook conference, which took place in 1988 under George Fredrickson. Okay, George Fredrickson. Here in this conference, they concluded that administration, apart from focusing on social equity, okay, as a value, social equity as a value, they should also focus on other democratic values, and they have to propagate it. Not only focusing, they should also spread that, okay, propagate those values, other democratic values. They started mentioning democratic values means you have lot of democratic values, rule of law, integrity, transparency. These are some of the democratic values only, right? So that they were talking about the other democratic values also inside the second Minnowbrook conference. And when the second Minnowbrook conference is going on like that in 1988, in 1992, a very important change has happened, and after the LPG in our diagram, first when I started this class, I hope you remember that I have drawn a diagram also for you. So, 1992 World Bank defined the concept of good governance, okay, defined the concept of good governance. In that they included sound administration also is a part of governance. So, they said not only policy making is something called as governance. So, good governance means it should also include, okay, sound administrative practices. So, this is something which was focused there. Now, they clearly understood that we cannot separate, administration from policy making. Administration is not only there to implement the public services or the laws which are made by the government, they also should participate. They are also part of it. Okay, we cannot segregate them. So, this is what we have understood from this good governance, and here in the good governance concept they introduce lot of values like transparency, okay, accountability, rule of law. These are some of the values they have given focus. Okay. So, here they started introducing the value systems inside administration. Okay. So, this is second important phase, the second important event which took place. Then if you see, not only this students, the 1995 UK formed Nolan committee before this, Nolan committee, and the Nolan committee gave the report in 1995. They gave the first report, they submitted the first report. There they have mentioned 7 public service values. Public service values, which are the 7 public service values which has to be considered in delivering of public services. Like, see, I am going to mention all the 7 values for you. Even you can draw as a diagram also, some image. So, integrity, selflessness, accountability, honesty, objectivity, leadership, openness. Like this till now we are using this Nolan committee in various countries using this. They are the forefather of public service values, which we are talking, the public service values to be included in the public values to be included in the public service. This came in around 1995. Then again, if I want to say, in this phase, 1996 itself, UN has come out with identification of code of conduct for public officials. They released a document that is identifying, okay, this and all you have to use in your answer writing. Code of conduct for public officials. There they came out with certain group of values that to be used in public services by the public officials. Okay, starting from, I can say like the public office is a position of trust, and the public official has to act in people's interest. Public official has to act in people's interest. Third, I can say that the public official has to do his duty efficiently, with effectiveness and with integrity. So these are the other principles they were focusing. And fourth, a public official should be attentive, okay, fair, and act with impartiality. And last thing is that no undue preference, okay. So the fifth one you can mention here, no undue preference to any individual or any group. There should be no discrimination. That is the next important value which has been given by United Nations. United Nations came out with this code of conduct for public officials. So this is another group of set of values which has been identified for the public service. And then came our India in 2005, the second ARC, that is second Administrative Reforms Commission. Still now for ethics also you are referring the fourth document which was given by this committee. We will be using that in our classes. See students, what type of questions are coming from this, now I am discussing, what type of questions will be coming, that is your third unit. And when in UPSC also they are asking questions like identify the 3 important values which are having an international relevance to be there for a civil servant, or identify 10 important values and illustrate how it is important for a civil servant. So everywhere if you see from this particular topic, which is from the third unit especially, the third unit elaboration is there. Again, each and every value will go and then we will elaborate why it is required and all. So this is an intro for the values. And in that case, these questions like why you need integrity, why it is very important for a civil servant, why you need impartiality, why it is very important for a civil servant, or identify 5 important civil service or attributes or traits. For any, it is asked, the same question is asked again and again. If you go to your old question paper, you will see that, but it is asked in different way. Okay, one time they are asking as attributes, one time they are asking as traits, one time they are asking directly as values itself. Every time you have to select at least 5 values from this, 3 values from any committees or any organization you have to select, and then you have to explain why it is important for a civil servant. Even second Administrative Reforms Commission has come out with values like adherence to public service, adherence to public service, that is integrity, especially integrity and probity in public service. So they were mentioning about integrity and probity. Then impartiality, see this is your syllabus of your third unit. Impartiality and non-partisanship. Non-partisanship, objectivity, commitment, empathy and tolerance towards weaker section. So this is the values which has been identified by the second ARC, and one and the last we will be seeing about the last one value is which was recently amended in the All India Service Conduct Rules. All India Service Conduct Rules, which was given long back in 1968. Okay, very recently in 2014 they have amended, but before this there happened in 2008 the third Minobrook conference also took place. So I can say about that first. In 2008 the third Minobrook conference took place. Now they were talking about all type of values. Under this conference took place under Rosemary O'Leary. So this is a person who has conducted this conference. So this conference said that they defined public service or administration itself as it's a socially embedded process. See this, that means what is the meaning? Socially embedded process, that means it has to go along with the society. Okay, so it has to be with the people. So now we are moving from even good governance to ethical governance in this, right? So where people also should be considered inside the governance. In our previous diagram we have defined a socially embedded process of collective relationships. There should be lot of people, okay, collective relationships, dialogues, actions to favor, like that it continues. So this word is important there. So they started stressing about all types of values, including the ethical values like integrity, okay, honesty, empathy, so these values were also given much focus. Then only we were talking about, so this is the third Minobrook conference which took place in 2008. After all this which has happened, we have amended our All India Service Conduct Rules also in the similar fashion as given by second ARC, as mentioned by the third Minobrook conferences. We started including integrity, okay, empathy, even discipline, even the respect for the community, okay. So like that I can say decency, how decently you are behaving with the public. Because we are hearing lot of news in the newspaper, the civil servant, that is an administrator or a public official, how he is behaving with the general public. Even very recently also we are seeing some news, has raped a government official, has raped a minor girl. So this was in the newspaper, continuously they were covering it. Not only that, mistreating the people, even when the COVID issue was going on, pandemic problem, during that period when there is lockdown, custodial death of a father and son has happened because of the aggressive behavior of a civil servant again. Okay, so corruption, everywhere corruption is flowing, like every layer of the organization is laddered with corruption, filled with corruption. Okay, maladministration, misadministration. This way we can see lot of issues keep on happening or misusing the power. For that only we require values. So far we have completed that why we need values, how these values has come into the administration, what are those values which has to be focused. This is just a preface to your third and the 6th unit. Okay. So, thank you all, we will meet again. So, until then you can see the diagram, you can also check with your syllabus and find, okay, what are the questions which has come as we have discussed in the classes. Thank you.